Nepal is home to 4 designated World Heritage Sites, 2 natural and 2 cultural. One site alone, the Kathmandu Valley, contains 7 world-renowned groups of monuments and buildings. And tourism is vital to this poor country's economy.
It's the largest concentration of World Heritage Sites, anywhere in the world, and absolutely unique in their style and in their mixture of Hindu and Buddhist and secular traditions.
I'm a market observer, and the market is telling me there's a problem with the economy globally.
Every single indicator I'm looking at is saying that there's more red coming.
We've had a 6-year bull market now. Does it look like it's ending?
Economic cycles run in 7 to 8 years, right? And, you generally come, we're hitting that. Yeah. And, suppose the economy is going into a recession.
I think the market always tells a story, and it tells a story about what may happen in the future. We saw the worst weekly decline, Dagan, since October 2008. We all remember 2008. It was horrible. I think we have the underpinnings of something that could be worse.
How bad is China?
It's worse than you think. Whatever you might think, it's worse.
Last week, China devalued its currency to make its exports cheaper, sparking concerns of a currency war with the U.S.
We don't know whether or not they have the capability to contain their own problems. There's been a lot of overinvestment there. There's been a lot of bad investment. There's been a lot of corruption in the investment that's been made there. We don't quite understand how it all plays out.
I believe a great shaking is coming. All these things are converging now. We need to take warning. How does judgment come? It can come in many forms. It can come in the form of, as we said, collapse economically, financially, the nation's blessings, sustenance being removed. It can also come in the form of natural disaster, earthquakes, famine, other things, many ways in the natural realm. It can also come in the form of man-made disaster, as in terrorism, war, as in 9/11, and many other ways. He doesn't have to work according to our schedule or understanding, or even how he has worked before. He is beyond our understanding. Nothing has to happen in September or the autumn. It could be very uneventful. Can happen according to this time. As far as the timing of the shaking that I believe is coming, it doesn't have to, but it can happen according to these dates. That's why I put in dates that I think it's in the book. I believe it's important that we be aware of the signs of the times. It could happen at that time. Either way, but I believe whether it happens then or beyond, I believe a great shaking is coming, and that it is wise that we be aware and we be prepared. In the book, the last 7 Shemitas, there has been a collapse of one form or another, financially, economically, the bond market, the stock market, in every single one. And now we are approaching the end of this present Shemitah. And the pattern is that if something is going to happen, it tends to happen and be most dramatic at the climax or the end. This period of time that heads to Elul 29. In the last 2 Shemitas, on Elul 29, September 2001 and September 2008, On the exact day of remission came the greatest stock market crashes in history. On the exact day appointed for the remission of the financial realm. Now we're coming to this again. Again, does it have to happen at that time? No, but we are to be aware. It will actually fall on September 13th, which is a Sunday, and the stock market's not even open, except around the world. That can also point to a shaking that's greater if it is to manifest then, or around that time. The last day that the stock market is open around that time, or going into Elul 29, is 9/11, the anniversary, the 14th anniversary of September 11th. But then you have the period of the days of awe, very crucial. These times on the biblical calendar are linked to judgment. And so we have this whole period of Elul to Tishri, the month of Tishri, in the past has manifested the wipeout that happened around Elul 29. So you have the 10 days of awe, you have this period of Tishri, then you have Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, which actually, according to the mystery, one of the mysteries in the book, the mystery of the Shemita, it's called the mystery of the seventh Shemita, concerns the Jubilee cycle. And the last two cycles of this is a 49, 50-year cycle. The last two times has meant war in the Middle East, war concerning the land of Israel at the end, and a end-time prophetic restoration happening each time. And now we are approaching the next. The next begins September 2015 on Yom Kippur, September 23rd, and lasts until September 2016. Does something have to happen according to that cycle? No, but the last two it has. Be aware. Then you have Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles. You have the finishing of the blood moon period. You have the Shemitah's wake, the wake of the Shemitah, which are the next few months. And you have again that whole year of September 2015 to 2016. It's enough to take notice and be ready. I believe we should be, regardless of whether this is now. If you knew nothing else but what's happening to America concerning its apostasy from God, that's enough to take warning and to be in prayer. Are we survivalists? No, we are revivalists. We are not here to survive. We are here to be part of God's revival, his restoration. I have to mention something I believe of great significance. This summer, America crossed the line. What happened not long ago, when the Supreme Court struck down the biblical definition of marriage, this was a tectonic event, a seismic change with ramifications not just about marriage, but about the future of the culture, of society, of religious freedom, of persecution, and I believe judgment. There is a principle in the Bible that before judgment comes, there is often an act of desecration. The prophet Ezekiel was taken to the temple and shown a vision of the temple being desecrated, the holy place being desecrated with idolatry. And then he sees a vision of the judgment of Jerusalem, the judgment of the Temple Mount, the judgment of Israel. So in Babylon, there is a festival, a party, a celebration to the gods. And the king of Babylon orders that the holy sacred vessels of the temple of Jerusalem be brought into the celebration, the sacred cups. And there they use the sacred cups of God to drink and to drink to the gods. Now that is an act of desecration. Desecration is to take what is used for God, what is made for God, consecrated for God, and use it against its purposes, against God. That's what they did to the cups. And once that act of desecration is done, the sign comes, a hand appears, and a hand writing on the wall in Aramaic, the handwriting on the wall that proclaims now there will be judgment, and judgment comes that night to Babylon. The act of desecration and then coming judgment. Marriage is a vessel of God. It was made by God for God. It is like a cup, a sacred cup. You cannot take the vessel of God and use it against its purpose and against God without desecration. That was an act of desecration for America to strike down marriage. And so another convergence here. And I shared a word to leaders and members of Congress that was led to share from Elijah when he said to Israel, how long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, serve him. If Baal is God, serve him. But choose you this day whom you will serve. If you want biblical times, you've got it. You want the book of Acts? It's coming. You want the days of Elijah? It's here. It's time to become the Elijahs of the day. I am making this recording on Elul 1. Elul is significant because this is the time in the Hebrew year given for preparing for the time of Tishri, which is the day, the high holy days, the days of the trumpets, the days of Yom Kippur, the days of judgment. And so the time of Elul is given for prayer and repentance and getting right with God and getting right with man and drawing near to God in prayer. The shofars are sounded and prayers are said. Well, I was just led, not planning this for today, but it just turned out, Elul 1, it begins. It's a 40-day period, actually, from Elul 1 all the way to trumpets. Actually, Elul 29 means that's 29 days away.